Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Dear students, this is Manzoor Ahmad Ganai, lecturer History Boys Higher Secondary School, Tral. Today, I would like to deliver a lecture to the 11th class students of our institution of history subject. And today our topic which is an important topic of unit 2nd of our syllabus. The topic or the question is, why were mobile animal herders not necessarily a threat to town life? Dear students, before answering this question, we need to understand the question in a proper sense. And let me repeat the question: why animal herders were not a threat to town life? Dear students, in this question, we have been asking about two kinds of people. One are the animal herders. Herders means the shepherds, means the people who had huge flocks of sheep and goat and took them to grasslands or the pastures for the purpose of grazing. Number second, we had town people. Town people were the people who lived in towns and cities and had huge agricultural lands where they cultivated several crops. Practically speaking, that the animal herders who had huge flocks of sheep and goat were threat to the town people. Why? Because whenever this animal herders or the shepherds took their flocks of sheep and goat to grasslands for the purpose of grazing, there is every chance of these sheep and goat damaging the agricultural lands of the town people. So thus there was every chance of conflict and clash of interest between the two. But the question that we have asked is that even though there was clash of interest between the two, there was chance of conflict between the two, these animal herders were not even then threat to the city people or the town people. Why? I feel that you understood the question now. Even if there is any question after this as well, you can ask that. There is no problem for that. Now the answer is, no doubt, animal herders and agriculturists or town people had conflicting interests. But the animal herders were not threat to the town people because, number one, animal herders or the people who had huge flocks of sheep and goat provided young animals, cheese, leather, meat, milk, and other things to the town people. And in return, animal herders got grain, metallic tools and objects, textiles, and other things of daily use from the town people. Thus, both were interdependent. Number two, we understand that the town people wanted to get more and more production from their agricultural lands. And more production was only possible when they used more and more manures to their fields. And manures, we know, would come from sheep and goat. Therefore, the agriculturists or the town people knew that if the sheep and goat damaged their agricultural lands a bit, but in return they were going to get manures from the sheep and goat. Therefore, they were ready to tolerate smaller losses for big gains. Number three is that we understand that animal herders or the shepherds, they wander from one place to another place along with their flock of sheep and goat. Therefore, they had no land of their own. Therefore, they needed land for the purpose of as pastures. The place where they could graze their sheep and goat. They needed land for living purposes or the habitational purposes, and they needed some other things as well. These things they had not, but therefore they were dependent upon the farmers and the agricultural people or the town people who provided them land for habitational purposes, for living purposes, and for the purpose of pastures. Number five, we understand that the people needed to transport their goods, transport people from one place to another place, transport materials for the construction of houses from one place to another place, transport food items from one place to another place. So transportation was very important for the people who lived in towns. And for transporting all these things, they needed animals, and these animals to them were provided by the animal herders. So here as well, the town people were dependent on the town people. In short, we can say the animal herders and town people were not threat for each other. Especially, animal herders were not threat for town people because town people were dependent on animal herders, and animal herders were dependent on the town people. So both of them were interdependent. So they were not threat for each other. Thank you.